and then just stumbling out of the clear blue sky into this incident without any preparation really whatsoever. And I would have to admit that I'm very similar in that way, in that my brother actually back in the 1980s wrote a book, and I'm trying to remember the exact name of it, called Alien Conspiracy or Alien Agenda or something like that. And I had no interest whatsoever in what he was doing or writing about it, no matter how bright he was and how involved he was in talking behind the scenes with Black Project people. And I went back later, many years later, and actually paid more attention to his book, and it was actually very good. But anyway, why would someone with such a devoted spiritual path, suddenly try to gain attention with this extensive incident that she was able to describe? It just was, impossible to me that this would be anything but a legitimate attempt to explain an actual event that occurred.
Yeah, I totally agree with that, Bill. In fact, I've often thought perhaps it's the other way around. Perhaps Eva was led into the spiritual life so that this event could unfold for her. Does that make any sense?
Yes, it does. Actually, there's a quote from this very, very advanced special form of the Universal Course called the Course in Miracles. It says there are no accidents. God's plan is too important to be left to chance. And even this great master that I spent time with, we spent a lot of time trying to update people on the actual esoteric teachings of Jesus. He was involved with extraterrestrials. He showed me a photograph of a mothership that floated over his house on his birthday, and
right.
He's had contact in some degree with extraterrestrials. So, and this is a guy again who taught nuclear physics at the Naval Academy and had an amazing career in the Navy.
Yeah. So it really goes to prove that we are spiritual, whether we like it or not.
Right.
Welcome back, Malcolm.
Thank you.
See you now.
Can you see me? Sorry, I'm not wearing my makeup today.
Oh, no worries. Okay, would you like to start and say something, or would you like us to ask questions?
Whatever. If you like to formulate any questions, direct and clear, I would be very happy.
Okay, well I have loads, but I don't want to hog the whole afternoon.
You can hog it as much as you want as far as I'm concerned, John.
Okay, well, my first question, Eva, is the event you described in the Bodhgaya Event that Barry was kind enough to type up for us happened approximately 10 million years ago. My question is, how old do you think you...
I'm sorry, you said 10 million years ago?
Yes, the event itself.
Oh no, I told it's, you see, you have to take these dates with a little bit of, I'm not sure about it. What is the date exactly, but I said 80 million years ago. 80, okay. Right.
Actually, follow that up. My actual question was, how old do you think your species was up to that point when you crashed?
Okay. Yeah. It's not an easy question to answer, because we would count our age in our years,
right.
And then our years would be like, see, compared to human years. We have tried to do the math about it. I did the math about it quite at the beginning, before when I was piecing together the memories and the data, and then I came to that count and conclusion from the time when I remember being on the ship, and when we just landed, and we were not yet accustomed to the human, the earthly time.
Yeah.
So it appeared like, let's say, several hours, like 4 hours, would equal to about 80 years, 80 earthly roundabouts, 80 earthly years.
So you don't really have a recollection of
no, wait
your
a moment.
Sorry,
Oh,
go on.
yeah, wait a moment. So let's say that an hour of our previous time, the original time,
Yeah.
would equal to some 20 earthly years.
Okay.
Now, if you can imagine, then that we were species that would consider their age or count their age to be millions of years of their time. So how many years of earthly, how many earthly years would that make? It would make some kind of trillions, and it's pretty hard to imagine.
Okay, so the clue is in the maths then, really? Yes?
Yeah, of course, yeah, because you have like two physical properties of kind of planetary nature and biological nature we are considering here, comparing here. So one is the larger count and one is the small count. So currently, in human terms, we are residing in this aquarium of a smaller time and quicker time.
So it's more a question of space-time then and relativity, yes?
Completely everything is, related to each other that way.
Okay, let me try with a simpler question. How many of your species do you think lived on your planet?
I think about hundreds of thousands.
Hundreds of thousands, not in the millions then, or billions like us.
No,
Oh.
we were fixed in number. We would not procreate. It would not be the usual manner. It would not be a regular occurrence that we would procreate and enlarge.
Okay, right. Do you remember what size your planet was in relation to Earth? Was it a larger planet or a smaller planet?
I think it would be roughly 10 times bigger, something of that sort.
Okay, yeah. Do you recall if it was a green planet like Earth, or was it totally, well, it would be alien to us, I guess, like Mars or something?
No, it was very beautiful planet. Yes, we had a plant life, a different plant life. I think the nature we had, it was very, okay, even the plants were very sublime.
Right.
And symmetrical. Am I pronouncing it well? Symmetry.
Yes. Yeah.
How do you say that?
Your plant symmetry, that's what you're saying.
Symmetry or symmetry.
It's not symmetry, they'd be dead.
So, we had a plant life, and it was like fragile, it was very sublime, and we had flowers that were large flowers of the bigger than a man.
Yeah.
We had flowers, and we did not have huge trees such as here. It's interesting. It's maybe just a detail.
You didn't have trees?
No, we did not have huge trees. Maybe we had smaller ones. Everything was very in shape, was very regular.
Yeah.
And displayed beautiful patterns. And we just, we respected it's like if you say ecosystem, so we live in complete harmony with the ecosystem.
Did you have any fauna on your planet? Any animal?
Animal? Not as such, no. Unless we brought one in, we did not have animals, no.
Oh, I see. Okay, that's fine. Okay, would anybody else like to jump in? Because I have millions of questions, so...
Not yet, Todd. Keep going. You're doing great.
You sure? Because I don't want to hog everything.
No,
Right.
We'll jump in when it's helpful, hopefully.
Okay, Eva, another one for you. How many planets do you recall in your solar system?
I'm not sure if I recall it exactly, but I would say we would have. There were 12 important suns in the system. It had 12.
Or planets?
No, suns. 12 suns that were important, like formed. Not that we would see all of them in our sky, but I mean simultaneously. But they were like the nearest stars in the group. There were 12 suns, and I think we had. There were more. I'm not sure with the number of the planets now. No.
Right.
Just
So
makes it like this.
did you have a day and a night time, or was it daytime all the time?
No, but we did not have. We had longer days. I mean, we had longer days and longer nights. So the orbit was larger than the earthly orbit, and at night we would have, the atmosphere and the sky looked very different than it does on Earth.
Right.
In the colors of the atmosphere, we did not have clouds.
Okay, so you didn't have, did your species breathe oxygen, or did you? You did, but
Yeah.
there's no water in there.
Yes, we had I think. How could I describe it to you? So I think the atmospheric bubble with the ionosphere and stratosphere was larger than the one on the Earth, even relatively to proportions of the planet. Still, the atmospheric bubble was larger because the planet in all the system was older one than on the Earth. It really evolved, a lot longer. Yeah,
I understand.
a stable system. And then this kind of atmosphere also, like you call it ionosphere, stratosphere, or all these layers. So of course it was oxygenated, and it displayed various colors when penetrated by the sun rays. So we would have also, like a pink skies or purple skies, yellow skies. We would have rainbow-like colors in the atmosphere. But we did not have clouds and rain. Occasionally there would be rain, but there would be no appearance of a cloud. It would just rain somewhere from the upper atmosphere. It's just like a drizzle, kind of drizzling.
Right, I've already decided I want to go there sometime.
Let me interject one quick question. Oftentimes, of course, you've referred to this ancient, very sophisticated, very wise race as the guardians, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. And in the world of metaphysics, often I hear the term the central sun. Does that ring a bell at all in your memory in regards to what people might be referring to when they talk about, coming from the central sun?
I think metaphorically, metaphysically, right? I think that there is a deep subconscious memory of mankind that that relates us to our origins, to our past, and to this original identity. And then it really depends on individuals. What way? Because like most people, if I have not seen this, like in my own eyes, with all the technology and with the beings and this and that clearly, I might have an idea, but what way I would interpret the idea that would be completely on me, and let's say on the religion or tradition, one follows. So if you are familiar with esoterics, and then there are many schools, esoteric schools all over the world, some aboriginal and some very sophisticated, and in the center of each school there is a kind of, like you would say, central myth, uh, some legend, central myth that says that everything comes from one source, and that there was in Australia they say there was this time before time, and it was the dream time, and this is where it very much reminds me on that. And I think in the core of those esoteric schools and the truth, there is this direct link to that race, or to our ancestors, and to our origins. But then the interpretation varies. It just varies a lot, because then there come people and they say, all right, we understand the hierarchy looks like that. It's Archangel Michael and Archangel Gabriel and Archangel I don't know, Falafel. It doesn't it does not really matter, because in other part of the world, like if you look to China or somewhere in India, they would describe a bodhisattvas, and then they would say, they were bodhisattva of compassion, bodhisattva of wisdom, and bodhisattva of the splendid teachings and all that. So every tradition would describe the source, different connotations, different colors. But I think originally they mean the same.
No, thank you. That's very consistent with pretty much what we've talked about before in the emails. And I'm sure John will get to this, and I don't want to throw him off his line of questioning, but one of the most interesting aspects, of course, about what you bring to the table in regards to your experience and your understanding is the original genetic pool, or parts of the original genetic pool of this planet. And we have heard that through the thousands and thousands of years that there's been other input from other extraterrestrial races in regards to the genetic input of this planet. How do you feel that fits with your understanding of the original genetics coming from the crash, if you will?
I think that what has happened. That the so-called human race, as we know it suffered lots of damage at start, at the beginning. So it started to evolve to different genetic groups and races, lineages, and this and that. And some of the, if I am to put it very simply, then I would say some of the genetic pool, some of the lineages were good, because they could actually regenerate. They could, you would say, they could evolve, and I would say they were on a smooth path to regenerate the good potential in them, despite and against the earthly gravity. So they would still evolve to good people and retain, lots of abilities and knowledge. So, and some of them, some of the lineages and the gene pool were, they developed aggressions. So they were like, it even comes in some of the religions of old, that half of the people were good, and half of them evolved to fighters and barbarians, and the aggressors, the aggressive nations, who just in very old times, uh, they had this kind of energy in them that would make the whole group and the nation aggressive, and they had no choice than to feed on others and steal and rob and just go on that way of the warlike characters. And then maybe after millions of years, the groups, because there were not only two, there were many. So I'm just simplifying it for to spare the time, but they mixed together at the end anyway. So we are all mixed today. The world is completely mixed society. Like there is no one who can say that I have pure genes, I come from a pure lineage. We are all completely, from the human point of view, we just have a piece of everything in us, everybody, I mean. And then there were some of the lineages that I think are completely extinct at the moment, because they would not be capable to survive, they could not survive. And I suppose that maybe what they call today the higher apes, the hominids like Neanderthals and this kind of creatures. I think they were like the retrograde part of the lineage. Like the forest man, the jungle man, who just really, they were almost monkey-like. They were just happy to feed on fruits, and they did not need much of sophisticated cultures and technological culture. So what has happened with all these humans? It's a long story. And then when the planet was visited later, after some, say, millions of years, when it was found, accidentally or not, I think, by another intelligent civilizations who ventured around and found that, okay, this planet is inhabited, and that there are some intelligent or semi-intelligent creatures, or something has happened to them. Firstly, they probably try to figure out what has happened. Where do we come from? Because this is a common knowledge in space, that advanced species would not grow up in a few thousands or few millions years out of a bacteria, out of a foam. It does not happen. Basically, you just need much longer time of the evolution line is much more smooth. It's smoother, and it's some kind more harmonious to give birth and try to intelligent being. It's just it's a holistic phenomenon, and this would happen from one day to another. So if they this being there, they expect to have an idea that something happened here. Either an accident, or there was some kind of disaster and these people are survivors, or something had to happen, because they saw this, the intelligent beings as we look like in a really bad shape, because we are, if you look at the society, so yeah, struggling a lot in today, striving for space and to gather all the amenities and all our needs and medical care and dying fast and diseases and lots of sadness on this planet. So even when we were much smaller in number, then it was the condition, the situation was rather sad. And so I suppose that if these beings were, not all of them, were probably utterly and completely benevolent in the sense we understand benevolence, that they try to help us. But some of them, at least, they did try to help. And so I think that some of them try to temper with the gene pool. What does it make if they can somehow help us to regenerate our potential?
What do you think about the Sumerian tablets and Zacharias Sitchin's attempt to take these literally as a race of beings, the Anunnaki, who came and experimented genetically with the individuals on this planet?
They would have to, I think, you have heard probably that Zacharias Sitchin, I think a few months before he died, he wanted to prove the point. He wanted the DNA analysis of the queen, of the Sumerian queen, what was her name, the Puermi or something like that. And I think in the British Museum in London, they did not want to give them sample. They would give them a sample, but they need certain guarantees, and like the academic community, they want to follow some kind of protocols. I'm not familiar completely with the case and what has happened, but they want to prove that she was the direct descendant of the, either she was extraterrestrial, she was direct descendant of this extraterrestrial. But Bill, this comes completely, it comes in every culture of old. For example, the Egyptian pharaohs. It's a very good example. If we could go to some of the first pharaohs in Egypt, they completely believed that they were descendants of visitors, of a star people. If you go to old Tibetan kings, that is a history like 10,000 years BC, a pre-Buddhist history, that were like the old Tibetan kings that were told they are told to be buried in a valley in a region that is called Nyari in Tibet, and there are the tombs of the old Tibetan kings. And there is a funny story about them because they is said to be, at daytime they would be ruling people. At nighttime, they said they climbed a silver ladder back to the heaven. So they were so-called heavenly kings, and they lived in the sky. They only descended in a day to rule the people. And this kind of, and in India, if you look to India, all the legendary kings like Rama and those kings, they were told to be of divine origin, or you would say star origin. Well, whatever culture, whatever country you go, of the oldest kings, the religion is persistently there.
But there seems to be some proof that intelligences were involved with this planet that left behind evidence that would suggest that we are not even at the level they were when they developed things like the pyramids and what are these lines called in Peru, or that you can see from the air, and all these kinds of things. There's lots of evidence that there was some technology that was not available to us now that was available at different times on this planet.
That's good, yeah. I'm not sure if you have maybe Malcolm wants to say something about it, or John wants to say something about it. I think there seems to be lots of evidence that, and from what I know and can say from my knowledge, there were many advanced civilizations on Earth before this one that were they used maybe different technologies. They evolved technologies on different principles, but they were equally potent and equally powerful. With some of the legends and descriptions, like those about the vimanas, the flying vehicles that exist in India. And then many other cultures, like the Chinese, they had the dragons, and Mayans had the dragons, and Aztecs and Incas, and so many various cultures. But the point is that this is the nearest history we speak about. This the latest history that is recorded and taught as such is maybe barely 30,000 years old. I would say 10,000 years old of recorded history. It's sort of ridiculous because we are here for millions and millions of years. So what has happened before, this last patch of recorded history? So either there was some kind of cataclysm that temporarily shut down the civilization, and this has happened many, many times and repeatedly on Earth. That the civilization was built and reached certain climax of like a technological peak or peak of its evolution, and then it destroyed itself. I think many times happened that it destroyed itself by its own weapons, by its own power, because there was the aggression accumulated by people with power and who wanted to take the rule to their own hands. Or maybe in a few cases there was a natural cataclysm that caused people to flee somewhere and leave the culture behind. But I think that when it concerns technologies, it were most people who turned what they achieved against themselves. And it actually endangers us at this period of time as well, because we are kind of like on an evolution crossroad. What may happen if some powerful and crazy people in the world elsewhere switch the red button and fire a few nukes and this and that, and then they will have to fire back from the other side.
Speaking of being at a crossroads, do you feel like your experience has even more to do with the obvious, very, very important history that's unavailable to the world, meaning how the original humanoid life began? Does it go significantly beyond that, in your opinion, at this point?
I think it should go beyond that, because we need to. I don't know how, but we need to. The truth should belong to people.
But is there something more about your coming forward, your experience, the allowance for that experience in time and space that goes beyond just what you've revealed so far about the history of the crash and how life was affected on this planet? Is there something beyond that your experience coming forward at this crossroads, as you describe it, in our times, is there more significance that you feel like you have to play besides relaying the event and possibly even opening up some technological ideas?
You see, I think that in a long term, it cannot happen in like a short time, short profile history. But in a long term, what is really important for mankind, for human beings, that they would regain the sense of identity they once had, and that is, like the original, the true sense of who we are, and we are conscious beings, and not only mindful beings, also you would say spiritual beings. We are ethical beings.
Well, like my friend that I described, who was a great teacher of mine, the idea that we come originally from an accident, that and our source of our life on this planet comes from a very, very elegant, sophisticated, highly respected culture, that and $2 will still get me a Starbucks coffee. And so how does your coming forward, other than that, may affect the well-being of the planet ultimately, or helping be involved in some change in the direction of the planet?
Right. You see, and I stressed this many times, that we would really need the data, whatever I'm able to give in a form of information, discussed by scientists, and so they can take a record and go after the process after the biological process, and what has exactly happened with our, you would say, genes, with our biological information, and what was its original form, because it makes a huge difference. And the difference is exactly, it's a directional difference, because today's science presumes that we have started from down and we are evolving up. That we have started from a simple and we are evolving to the complicated, to the capable. At start we were almost nothing, and this and that. So this is the direction from down up. And what is the truth, as I'm trying to explain, is that we have started actually from the complicated, from the abundant, from the resourceful and resplendent reality. And we took it head down. And so the result of what we can see in a biological sense, the human body and our mental functions and our physical functions, are a result of this downward process. So it's exactly the opposite of what they think, and it's a simple directional thing, but it makes lots of difference, because it explains a lot why do we function the way we do function. They come by observation, and this so-called the exact science. They come to similar observation. Logically, they come to similar conclusion about the relationship between the cellular mechanisms and body functions, and what kind of secretions we have, and what our senses do. And nowadays, only maybe it's actually a boom of scientific findings, because out of sudden they are starting to figure out that what we knew all those thousands of years, certain, like the psychological mechanisms, that they are important, that they are actually playing a role, and that it's true that if you we always knew that the TV is disturbing, but now they can confirm this in the study, and and what way it works, then they can put a stamp on this, and etc. There are just like millions of examples. They need a study to confirm something that we always knew, right? And in principle, that's it, because at start, as our original mind, our original information contains the knowing. We are knowledgeable beings. In core, in heart, we know. Now, what happens with our knowing when it crashed literally against the forces?
17 hours.
Sorry, against the forces of the earth. So the knowing itself, it starts to shiver, because it gets physical hit. Now, and it's an effect of a physical shock, basically, and the shock is experienced for most of our life by biological functions and mental functions as well, and to recover ourselves, we call it spirituality, recovering our consciousness and conscience to feel like I'm a free and knowledgeable being. I know right from wrong, because it's natural to me, and I have all rights to think about myself as a limitless consciousness and a knower. So this kind of esoteric path, and it does not seem to find a place in today's science, because the science presumes that we have evolved from some simple kind of organism. So there is something basically wrong with this science. And if it proceeds, if we let it proceed another thousands of years, one day necessarily it will come to, it will come to a crash, a controversy of opinions. So we are seeing these crashes are happening in the world. So I believe we need to explain them actually logically and physically what has happened. If we cannot explain them what has happened, they will not find out, and they will be convincing us that we were born from something here.
So what is, in your opinion, if you have any thoughts on this, a relationship between the physical vehicle, the physical body, genetics, and our mind? And speaking of knowledge, knowledge that is in the mind.
So I would say basically this is like originally we did not experience any kind of duality, like there would be a body and mind. Just like one entity, one consciousness, one organism, and it should be so at the end as well.
So it seems to me that if taking that analogy and applying it to life on Earth now, that this one shared mind, it's as if we are born with post-traumatic stress disorder, because it's part of our collective consciousness.
Mm-hmm. And we are born to amnesia as well. Mm-hmm. And we are being brought up in an environment that cultivates this kind of amnesia. That teaches us to go with the stream, and explains reasons for everything on very shallow level, usually, unless you are born to deeply, conscious environment and spiritual environment. but even then. Oh, you have Walter. Hello.
Morning.
Yeah, so I think if we need more awareness, and the ways how to cultivate the awareness affects our well-being or even our lasting as a biological entities. Or how well are we aware of our potential, like what you say, genetic potential, biological potential.
Thank you again. I don't have anything else right now.
Did you want to ask anything, Malcolm?
No, fine. Fire away, John. I'm new to all this,
okay.
So really interesting. So fire on.
Okay, Eva. To go back to your original species.
I'm sorry. I would like to welcome Walter if he is here. Walter.
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Do you have a camera?
I do. I'll try it. I don't have the advanced version. Let's give this a go here.
Hello there.
I'm just kind of propped up my comfy place here in my bed, so. Ooh.
We have lost someone, and now jumping. Oh, Malcolm.
Yeah,
I'm still here.
Still here. I just need to do something. Not be a minute.
And where is Bill?
I think he's going to make a cup of tea.
I like that idea.
Yeah, so do I. I'm gasping. Okay, Walter, welcome to this little chat. Do you have any questions for Eva?
I think he woke up, let him relax. Walter, you are in California, right?
Yes, I am, yeah. And I've worked with Eva a little bit, sometime last October, November,
All right.
with regard to the television show, and she and I have had a lot of questions already, so I'm just, forgive me if I don't have anything immediate right now. I think I'll just kind of go with it. Have any questions been posed at this point?
Oh, lots, yes. We're about an hour and 5 minutes into it at the moment.
My time is off.
Yeah, but you have something like early morning, right?
Yeah, well, it's 8 o'clock our time. I just did the math wrong. I'm looking, I had to look up UTC, Greenwich Mean Time to figure out what time it was. Because it's showing right now 3 p.m. GMT, and that's what time you said it would start, was 3 p.m. So
I think they have 4 p.m. and I have 5. Yeah. And it's fine. It's really beautiful. They are like all over the air.
I just realised something, Eva. Although it's GMT, we're on actually British summertime at the moment. So the clocks have gone back. It's one of these weird things we do in the UK.
But they do have summertime in the US.
Oh, do they?
Yeah, we have, it's called daylight savings.
Yeah.
But still, I went on the internet and looked up GMT. I'm looking at a clock right now that says it's 3 p.m. GMT, so.
It's lying, I can tell.
It's lying, thank you.
Okay, well, I'd like to continue with my questions, Eva, if I may. If you're sure you're still okay. Yeah, you've not had enough yet.
I'm all right.
Okay, right. Going back to your species, I'd like to know, were they androgynous?
Yes, this is what I have told in the report. Yeah, they were androgynous. Yeah.
Okay, to follow that up, how did your species increase then? How
No, I tried to explain the actual increase.
Sorry, I can't hear you.
Can you hear me well now?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I tried to explain we actually did not procreate.
Right.
We were immortal. We immortal beings. We would not die and be born, and die, be born, and take babies. They were just like beings that were created as such at the beginning of the time cycle, so many millions of years ago, right? Of their time, as a dominant life form on their planet to their planetary system, right? To this very advanced environment, and still have nice story.
So, essentially, sorry?
I'm asking Bill if he's all right.
Okay, Bill?
Yes, no, I was just readjusting my sitting position. Thank you.
But continue on with that then, Eva. Presumably the numbers on your original planet, they never increased then?
We have expected people from other planets. Other civilizations. Not say planets. Real metaphor. People from other civilizations. Occasionally, we would host them. We would accommodate them.
Okay.
Include them, but not in big numbers. We had place enough, and we were not society who would struggle either against ourselves or against someone else, so we would not lose people or something like that. It's just very stable society.
Right. Okay, to follow on from that then, after the crash, how does that explain your species' transition to reproduction?
It's quite complicated because what has happened after the crash, right, is that these human beings, these creatures of the first time, they were still long-lived, I think, but they started. Some of them died in the first wave, right after the crash, and others they had to experience, the coming to the end after many years or after some time, because they were all basically affected by the exposure, to the gravity and to the frequency, the energy fields from the ship itself, from the crash, and all these. So they were ill. The system was simply affected to that extent that their life would expire after many years or whatever. And the way they actually saved their biological potential was that before dying, those who were you would say younger or healthier would accept a piece of say flesh or a piece of their body that was still healthy, and basically contain that like a swallow, right? That piece of the
Sorry, so you're saying that they actually consumed those that were dying in order to keep their genetics going?
Because they say that most of like a one organism, very old, and it's completely decayed. But a piece of that organism, like you would say, the soul, is still healthy, but it would not survive on its own, right? And the rest of the body decays. And so you can imagine that at that time, the biological structure was softer than it is now humanly. It was not so as well crystallized and as it is at the moment. It's
Right.
different biological circumstances. Well, and so those who were still alive and young and healthy, they were very sorry for the one who is dying. They would try to save, they would say, the soul, the healthy part, the biological information from that person, from that being, by say, ingesting it to themselves. So yeah, that way the piece of him would be saved. Now, what it evolved to with time is that you had the carriers of biological information that were of double nature. And it went through, it was like a process that repeated in generations of beings. Because they try to carry on the previous information for, say, like the soul. And they evolved like two kinds of polarities, and one would be like the donor polarity, the carrier, like the carrier polarities that were more like the mothers.
Right.
And with time, these mothers would be able to give birth to a new being. And they would probably die. Yeah, they would probably die and give birth to a new being, etc. And part of them would develop like a father polarity. They would be, they're like a donors and receivers.
So somebody just put a kettle on somewhere. Okay, so the thing I don't understand, Eva, is how they regenerated themselves when they were in such a poor condition over the generations. I understand the transition to the male female thing, but I don't understand they regenerated in the first place so that you can have all these following generations.
I think that the first time this biological process was still very, I would say, unstable. It mutated easily. So you would imagine that I don't want to picture it in some kind of, I don't want to give you a vision of something wrong. But I think that there were many mutations taking place over time at that first time that enabled a biological adaptation as such. So they were actually trying to adapt and to gain a stable life form that is livable in earthly terms. So, but I think it took maybe millions of years before they actually the form was stabilized to a fitting skin that could then be followed by this, by the next generations of humans.
Okay,
Yeah.
I understand that.
If you, the interesting point is that, but that may be only, it's just a point. If you hear some of the like old legends again, maybe I don't know if they are in all cultures. I guess they are, but in India or among American Indians or different kind of aborigines. That in the old times, it was enough if, let's say, it's funny, but if a man would spit on the woman and she became pregnant, it's a joke, but I'm sorry about it.
Wait a minute, Eve. We seem to have a lot of interference on the mics on.
If I may, William Evans, if you could mute your mic, that would prevent the noise from carrying across.
Is Billy? Do we have Billy and Malcolm?
Yeah, Billy's. Could you just cut your mic back a bit, Bill, please?
I turned my microphone off because I'm working just now, listening in the background. It's very, very interesting.
Hey, John, you can tell where the noise is coming from by looking at the blue that will appear around the outside edge of the picture. Like I've been watching Mr. Evans here. When he moves his computer, you'll see the audio come up. I think he's muted his mic now, so he should be okay.
Right. Okay, Eva, that was a very good explanation. Sorry, I'm getting Skypes in from everywhere. And another question. Your species, when they crashed, presumably they lived in the craft for these millions of years.
I'm sorry, I'm trying to tell few people that I'm not able to type at the same time.
Okay.
So please excuse me and better put your question in the voice. Thanks.
Yes, your species survived presumably for these millions of years in the craft itself, which had crashed.
No, I think they went out pretty soon. That's why it happened.
What did they survive on? Did they eat the local flora, or?
Here, yeah. They firstly they were basically leaf eaters, or I mean those who were not humanized, who were not who did not experience the kind of mutation and damage. We could go without food. I think probably for a very, very long time there was no question of hunger, because in the previous form we are still able to feed on light.
Okay.
We are still able to absorb light. But for those who were so damaged as they were, it was first a question of kind of helping them to adjust to the local biosystem. So we believe that by eating the leaves or something, or even the bark of a tree, that the DNA, the biological information, when ingested by their bodies, that will read the codes that will tell their organism what way, what direction best to adjust to the system. So this was the first reason, just to have them heal.
Okay.
We did not presume, the fact is that if you never start eating as such a gross food, they would still probably retain the ability to live on life, so to say, to live without any gross food. They would still be able to live like that without much trouble. But since they ever started to eat from the earthly vegetation, then they develop need to eat. And they started basically just to crave for energy and for nutrition. So at first they became leaf eaters, and later I think they also consumed the dead.
All right.
And
Okay.
later they started to feed on animals.
Do you think there is a possibility that any of the original members survived that didn't eat local flora? In other words, they still survived just living on light. Do you think there's any of those that may have survived? Anywhere?
Yes, I think so. Oh, I think we have some glitches. Is everybody okay now?
We've had some glitches, I think.
Mm.
Okay, does anybody else like to ask a question? No takers?
No, actually, so Eva, when we talked last year, you were and I were talking about the prospect of trying to get somebody to go out and try to look for this craft. Has any progress been made since we last talked?
I progress on what exactly, Walter? I'm sorry.
Oh, your any research trip to India looking for remnants of the craft.
Oh yeah. You see, it's a long term chat about, and I'm trying to explain that it's in process actually. I may be possible. I may be possibly going to India, to Bodhgaya actually next month, September. So a good occasion to tell you everybody. And if I'm there, of course, I will send you a postcard. I'll still be able to be on internet, but we are hoping to go to Bodhgaya with a colleague of mine who is actually what called kind of head deputy of a biometric lab at Charles University, and he's looking to this from this very technical point of view, and he wants to do some basic measurements. Now I'm really kind of skeptical about what kinds of measurements we can do with small equipment available. Like we will have a Geiger meters, and then I suggest that we can take some stone or mineral samples and bring them back for a spectral analysis, and maybe try to determine what kind of different metals can be found in such stone. I think it will be more like looking for the philosopher's stone, because there are of course many, the ground, the soil. If you imagine that it was already trashed many times, up and down and through. So if we find the right stone that we can take back, and that comes from those millions of years back, then it will contain in the spectrometer analysis. It can show even days back. It can also prove what the different metals are present. So this is one idea. I welcome your opinions and advice on that. Then we also want to take a ham radio or some kind of such radio to detect signals. But for that, and I've told this to the friend of mine who can stay there basically just like 2 weeks maybe, because he needs to go back to school or to his work after. And so I told him I would have to stay there maybe a few months. I just cannot expect that we catch a signal the first day we arrived in Bodhgaya. Are you still there, Walter?
I am, yes.
Because your camera is not up. And John is still there?
Yes, I'm still here.
And your camera is not moving either.
That happens in Skype quite a bit. It should come back.
Can you see
And the one interesting thing I've got recently after the videos with Mars Johnston. The basis is 16 videos. I'm not sure if you have seen them, Walter. After they were released, so someone has questioned me on this, on those. They are on they are on internet. They are on YouTube channel of Mars Johnston. It's called Megawatts 1066. I will type it somewhere. See if I can find where.
Sure, you can send it to me, email or type it. You know, it's not urgent, so whenever is fine.
Right, now I have to get this back again for picture. Right. And yeah, someone asked me on a project Avalon forum about the technical details. He said he's a technical engineer and he's working closely, or maybe it's his interest, I'm not sure, with the HARP, but he's familiar with them, the HARP research who are in Alaska, right, the frequency antenna array. And he found that on that day there was some kind of anomaly, which I expect there should be a geomagnetic anomaly because the 22nd January 2002, when this event happened, because this was quite a huge event, like from the space-time viewpoint. It's like a collision to the intrusion to the space-time. So he asked me if it's possible that there was such a geomagnetic anomaly. I told, yeah, 100% yes. And he told, okay, I found a magnetic anomaly for that day, and it's quite really it's interesting, the graph. Of course, I don't. And he has asked me about the frequency. If I understand what kind of signal would be possibly employed to contact either the ETs or the mothership or this and that. And I've tried. We have discussed this with the friend from the biometric lab, and the same thing. I told him this would be long amplitude waves, and I have explained all the reasoning, and I have discussed this with Mars Johnston, who is he's a professional in the radio transmitting, because you know, he's the person who showed the basis series, and formerly he established a free Irish radio, so he's working with the radio system for many years. So I've discussed this with few people, and we agreed on this would be long amplitude wave and very slow waves. And what way the form of the signal, I really don't know, because from my experience, and this is not only from the event itself, the technologies are so advanced, they are actually able to take hold of any of your simple equipment. I gave them an example of my digital watch. That was another encounter, another occasion in Dharamsala. And I did not have any electronics with me. I had a small radio and Bodhgaya, because we needed a radio to hear the teachings. And then I had no computer. I did not have access to computer. I did not have TV, anything of that sort, because I did meditation. Actually, I really did not want the electric currents to disturb my currents.
No, I totally understand that. So let me ask you. So it sounds like you're in looking for these signals. You're operating on, maybe it's the assumption that the ship is either still broadcasting, maybe a a help signal, or are you trying to find some signal that's inbound?
Now let me explain. Let me explain a detail. From what I think, that if there are two possibilities. The ship is still there underground, somewhere buried deep underground and under the place. Or even if it's not there, but some like a experience, a historical experience, and from what has happened actually in 2002, I understand that there is like a time-space anomaly, like you would say there is possibly possible wormhole. Now, wormhole is the wrong term. Like a time-space whirlpool that can be activated. And absorbs or attracts communication from space much more easier than another places on Earth, and it's also the place of our landing. So simply, it may be. I think it's from my feeling in Bodhgaya also. It's kind of like a meeting place. So if there is a signal from outer space, like there was, at the event, I'm sure the whole event was simply activated from above, by another technology, in space. They activated this kind of memory, the time space field that existed there, I don't know, millions of years ago.
Right now, now I recall our conversation about this. I remember now. Thank you.
Oh.
Yeah, we had actually gone through this. I'd just forgotten.
Yeah, you're welcome. But I was trying to say, what I was trying to say before is that they are actually, if the signal is present at the place, they are able to take hold of any of your equipment, even if it's very simple. And I simply recall this case of my digital watch in Dharamsala. I did not have any electronics with me that time, and I had a sort of clear encounter at night. And what has happened is, it actually at start, the first thing, and maybe even the last thing I saw, is that the digits of my digital watch, they zeroed themselves. They went to, they zero, and they went, they were crazy. They were just like moving, the numbers were moving. It is the only thing I saw, and I still have the watch, and it's dysfunctional at the moment. So I'm not sure yet, but I think that if we could, this is a wish, this is a potential, if we could set up a station in Bodhgaya, and it would probably have to be a long time, either a radio station, that would not be so difficult, because there could be some people in the monasteries who might be potentially interested to take care about it, whatever, or even, just some kind of station in Bodhgaya, then it would be possible to pick a signal.
Yeah, thank you. That was all I had.
Welcome.
Where is everybody else? They off and running, huh? Okay.
John, are you still with us?
I'm still with you. Can you see me?
Yeah, actually your camera stopped.
Is it not working?
It just look like...
It's working, but it just feels like your desk.
Oh, it's freezing, is it? Okay. Try that.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know who we still have, Eva, and excuse me, how long you wish to continue.
I just joined. This is Robert.
Hello, Robert. How you doing?
I'm fine. I've joined about 5 minutes ago. I'm listening to the high frequency wave blanket that we're victim of, enabling us, well, preventing us from reaching higher consciousness. But I'm sorry that I missed the beginning of this interview because honestly I didn't know it was going on today. So I simply slept in this morning, guys. I'm on vacation, and I missed the first part of it. So go right ahead, and I'll be listening for a while. I know that Billy joined also. I know Billy. He's still there, Billy?
I think Billy may have left us.
Okay.
No, Billy, I think he's still there. Yeah, but he's maybe doing some work and listening by one ear. Hello, Robert, and welcome. And I think John promised to transcribe some of the questions and answers, I think in simple form. So you won't miss everything.
Yeah, I'll catch on, and don't worry, I'll catch on the thread.
Well, actually,
Billy's right there.
I am actually making an audio file of this, and given time, I'll transcribe it and put it onto TOT, so we all know what's happened today. Okay, but look at you and me. Another question, strange one. Did your species form partnerships like we do on Earth?
Oh, no, no.
Because you were androgynous, you probably...
We had friends, like we had friends. Maybe
Okay.
who were closer at times than others, even though basically we were all feeling very connected.
Okay.
We would not have enemies among us or people who would be like the baddies, so there was no point to fear someone or to push someone out of the society or the group. So relationships would be like between us would be very caring and very friendly and very normal and very loving. So there won't be experience like that someone would feel out of society or that they would feel depressed or they would be sad or
Sounds
Eva, well, how long did that last? I recall during our conversation that there was some discussion about how painful it was to remember the past, and was there not some, in time, I think part of the assumption was that the species became human, and in time, those who remembered didn't care to remember because it was such a painful experience, and those who did, was there not some kind of persecution in time?
Yeah, it's also a very interesting point that I think those who, those who are humanized, so-called, like shrunk to the earthly form, and so damaged, so they suffered sort of amnesia and loss of identity, and they at the first period, I don't know how long it lasted, maybe 1,000 or million of years, they could still see us. They could still see the original entities who were us. They could still see us, and we could still see them, and we could still all interact on a one dimensional level. And much later it split. Yeah, because the range, like the visible range of humans, could not see to the other side, the frequency. You can, like a human, it's very difficult now to see the other side or hear to the other side, etc. But
hadn't everybody been placed on this evolutionary path once they set foot on the planet, though? Hadn't everybody that had to get off of that ship, and as I understood it, the ship was damaged such that everybody had to get off because the life support systems weren't in place. So regardless, it seemed that everyone would have to go through the pain of being exposed to the higher density, the gravity and everything else. So are you saying that there were still beings that stayed on the ship somehow and they were able to see where, I mean, what are they able to see over time if everybody had to get off the ship?
We all went out, and but some people that's where I'm talking about it at start, that some of our beings remained unharmed, and they are still here, on the earth, and living in that old dimension, and maybe some of them were already retrieved and went back. So the original dimension of space-time is still here. Maybe it's not inhabited by many beings, but it still exists. Not every. Actually, few people were unharmed, and they are now mixing. I think, let me follow on this a little bit later. But I think that your original question was that those who suffered this damage, they had also amnesia on the events and lost identity, which is it's a very painful, and they experience themselves as totally somehow totally different entities.
So given the form of the body, though, I mean, the way that when we first talked about it, you talked about being very light and being exposed to the gravity. They were thrust to the ground, or words to that effect. I don't know what words you used, but I got the impression that everyone on the ship, once exposed to the gravity in this time-space situation, that they would experience the same thing. Are you saying that there were some that could endure and could stand upright and not succumb to the gravity and everything else?
And the point is that lots of people were so badly affected.
Eva?
Yeah, some remained.
Eva?
Mm-hmm.
I recall you saying that the people who were not as affected by gravity came off the ship later than the ones that came off initially. Can you speak to that?
Yes, I think it's one of the things that happened is that those who went out in the first wave, they were affected the most. But because those who were on the ship, those who were accommodated close to the middle, went later, because the cabins, the living quarters, they opened in groups. They would not open all at the same time. Like they would switch, like say zone 1, now everybody goes to zone 1, zone 2, zone 10. And when it came to like what I remember of myself, for example, is that I was waiting there inside the ship, like say hours, like 4 hours. I was still inside the ship, and the ship has landed, and it took 4 hours, which was very unusual. It would not happen otherwise. And so it's kind of waiting, and then finally the door opened, and I could go out. And so others, probably from that circle, went out together. And still, among all of those people, it's like you would say this is nature, that some were not affected. It's completely nature. That some like a miracle, that some would not be harmed by this gravity, because usually this is important to say that as biological organisms in the previous state, we were very resilient against all kinds of physical conditions. We were used to land on planets, and let's say that that intelligence of the ship would determine, okay, this is a hospitable environment, right? But we were not like, say, a fragile flower who can, who collapses under every wind or something like that. When the biological form was very stable and very resilient. So we were not afraid of, and we did not even suspect, even a little bit, that this may happen. This was really a big disaster, huge disaster for us, because it has never happened in our civilization. What happened here? And I think it's kind of a lot of different circumstances coming together at one place. Why this has actually happened? But
another aspect of this that I considered, you mentioned the 4 hours before you came off the ship, and there's also a temporal displacement too of time. So if you were 4 hours that you experienced on the ship, how much time had elapsed actually on the planet? And really, I'm just trying to put myself in that situation where maybe I'm in the first group stepping off, or the second group. First group stepping off, I'm coming into a primitive environment, and maybe it's 80 years that goes by before the second group comes out. What is the third and fourth group experiencing as they're stepping off the ship, given this time displacement?
Yeah, so I'm not sure how many the groups, they may be really like 3 or 4, or even, like, I think probably 10 groups. And before the ship allowed them out, but it's clear that those who went out first, that they were there earlier, much earlier than I was allowed to come out. And then we spoke about the math at the beginning. I'm not sure you were here that time, but I think you are familiar with that. So it was like I said it was like 80 years of earthly time. Those 4 hours.
Altogether, 80 years during those 4 hours. Okay.
80 years. Our 4 hours. Our 4 hours were 80 earthly years.
Eva, if I recall something you said earlier in past conversations months ago, is that there was something about the artificial intelligence of the ship that allowed the people who came out later to be more adaptable.
Yes, the mothership. It was creating. I think I tried to explain it to some extent in the Mars videos, right? It was creating artificial time-space field, like we would call alternative time-space field. It's simply, you would say, full computationally adjustable field, both, gravity field, time-space field, where you can adjust how quickly or how slowly time proceeds. So by that way, you actually you can adjust slightly all kinds of physical parameters, including the pressure, like the atmospheric pressure, that is very important, and the temperature, and a kind of frequency range. And for the biological entities residing inside the field, then of course they experience time the way you set the clock there, right? So I have explained that if we have traveled, say, thousands of years through the space, the time space was set that way, we would actually experience like 3 nights of good sleep or something of that kind. So the field was adjustable, and also when we would land somewhere on a planet, then before we landed, it would prepare us for the conditions to follow. When we stepped out, we would be prepared to some extent to the time space outside. But what I still remember is that we came out, like compared to how it's now, we have moved very slowly, like a part of the, it's like naturally the time and space came from natural to us. Like compared to now, if you would to turn around, you would like this. Like a very, very gentle move. It would be, like the way move as human beings is very fast, like almost frantic, compared to how we moved and thought before. So it's a kind of big challenge, really. Now, who we have is always the setup changes in the pictures.
Well, I'm still here, Eva.
I think you can hear me.
I'm here. I'm still here.
Who talks? You're right. Okay.
I think Billy may have left us.
No, but he's listening. He's not talking, but he's listening. He posted on the chat underneath the video.
Right.
I'm on mute. I'm listening. I'm on mute. So if anybody needs to talk to me, I'll get in.
Okay. Right, Eva, I think I've finished asking you questions for the day. So, as far as I'm concerned, this has been a good chat. I've really enjoyed it. If you guys want to carry on, please do. I'm still recording.
We can do some more next time.
Yes, I think we'll give it a little bit more time to advertise next time, Eva, so that more people can get in on it if they wish. Okay? Does that make sense?
I am happy with the small group as we have it, and I'm happy with people if they are already familiar with the topics. So I think it turns to be very informative that way, probably more than.
Okay.
If I may, I came late. John, I missed the introductions, so I don't know anybody here. Be nice to know who everybody is.
Well, my name's John Park. I used to be a member of Project Avalon, which I left, and that recently joined the One Truth, which I'm a member of now, which is an excellent forum. So if you don't know it, please sign up.
Roger that.
And I followed Eva's story with a great interest since I first read the PDF that Barry King was kind enough to produce. So that's me. And I'm recording this, and later on I'll transcribe it and put it on the One Truth forum.
Yes, hi, Dr. William Evans. I'm a psychiatrist who also became exposed to Eva's story early on with Project Camelot when the video and Barry King's information was posted, and contacted Eva almost immediately.
Dr. Evans, are you in the United States?
Yes, I am.
Are you in California by chance?
No, I am not. I am in New Hampshire. I'm a psychiatrist.
Okay, pleasure to meet you.
Pleasure to
I'd like to talk to you about some other things. I'm a TV producer. We're dealing with some other shows similar to Eva's story, if you wouldn't mind. I'd like to contact you.
That'd be great. I think I actually sent you an email once.
You're right. I think you have, but I'd be hard pressed to try to locate that. I'm going to drop I'll drop my email in here right now so everybody can have it.
Okay.
Walter, would you like to introduce yourself and your work a little bit and update me on what are you doing at the moment?
Yeah, sure, you bet. I'm the Vice President of Business Development at Stearns Media Incorporated in Southern California. We produce television and movies, and the show that I'm currently working on that's of my creation is called Search for Truth, Internet Chatter and Claims Investigated. We've been working for the last about 8 or 9 months on a sizzle reel to pitch to the networks, and it is just about finished. In that reel, we are featuring 4 stories, and we want to fill our slate with 13 complete episodes. And we don't have all 13 yet. We have a few more that we're working on, and are just finishing up the packaging for that. So that's who I am in Southern California. If you know anybody who has a really good script that care to get that thing packaged, we may be able to help.
Okay, thank you. And are you still working with Ralph Rink?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Saw Ralph just a couple months ago up in Magalia, California, for a Cherokee blessing and flute ceremony, and all the members of the pods came out there from all over the world, and it was really quite a magical spiritual experience. It was really quite wonderful.
Believe it. And did you make any progress with putting the ship together from?
Yeah, it's still being constructed, and I post updates probably every month and a half on my YouTube channel. I'll post that here real quick if anybody cares to look at that. Let's see. I guess that's my channel. And yeah, so the designer down in Australia, I talked to him just last week, and he'll periodically send me pictures of the prototype craft. The craft, for anybody who doesn't know, it's a 24-inch, flying saucer, basically circular foil craft, which is based on the design of Otis T. Carr, who built a 40-foot prototype that Ralph Ring, who's not familiar with Ralph Ring, I mean, he was on Project Camelot and with the interview, and talked about his experience in piloting this craft, and the craft was ultimately confiscated by the FBI, and that whole operation was shut down. So today there's groups all over the world that are working on prototypes. The one that's showing the most promise is in Australia, and it's looking really close. Like probably this year he'll be able to test it, and when he's ready, I'll wind up flying down there to put a camera on it.
Okay, thanks. It's good to know you still on the line working. I was quite wondering what's going on, with the sizzle reel, and where are you with all that work? And the year was busy, and of course it's 2012.
Yeah, it's a never-ending project.
Looks like that way. Yeah, it's about same here. Then we are actually like many people on the internet. I have to say also hello from Barry, because I think Barry, he wanted to, everybody knows Barry King. Barry wanted to be here, but he has some serious paperwork to do today's afternoon. The social care, and that social care needs to be done. Actually, his son is in America. Bill, are you still there?
Yes, I am.
Are you? Oh, because
It's Satina.
I cannot see you on the camera. It does not appear. And Barry's son, who is like 28, he moved last year before Christmas to the U.S., to Boston. And first he said he's going to visit his girlfriend, and then he will come back. And a big surprise, in February he sent a wedding photo. It's all the family, and his girlfriend Chrissy, they are both computer designers, so they do web design, and so they understand each other really well. And he lives with the family. They have 3 daughters, 3 girls, so I think they probably really love him, and they look like nice family. But he did not say a word, and he's not keeping in touch, which is like feeling very strange, because till then he lived home. And he married Christy because he wants U.S. citizenship. And since then he's disappeared, and he has lots of credit debts behind, and now they are chasing him. from some office, and it's really bad because Barry even he does not know what is his address at the moment. So it's being bad, but I know he's somewhere close to Boston. And anyway, maybe if I could find their surname, that maybe Bill could help us to locate them. Anyway, but I was trying to apologize and say hello and regards to everybody. And we are still, on the same line with trying to contact some science-oriented folks who would have interest and resources to investigate the data. I would say their own private interest, because starting a project like the one we thought, Bill, the one Paula thought about, like starting a project that needs a funding and a kind of private project. This maybe you folks who live in America are really much easier with doing things that way, but as far as I'm concerned, I have like zero experience in dealing with money and collecting funds and doing these things. So this would have to be organized by someone else. Like I'm completely prepared to transfer the knowledge. I want to give the knowledge, and I want this data to be available to the scientific community, but we need to find people who will be equally ready to accept them. So I think in my imagination, in my mind, this cannot be so difficult, and the main problem we are facing is this huge mountain of prejudice. Basically, because lots of the people, when they hear that something is about ETs or that it's about UFOs, immediately they start thinking in the terms, okay, there are no proofs, and we have heard all about it, and it's all like this and wishy-washy material, and they start putting objections forward instead of being attentive and helpful. But I think it cannot be the case with everybody. Okay.
Well, again, Eva, I think where I could be most helpful is along the lines of doing my very best to legitimize your story by saying that I'm also someone who has had an extensive, spiritual training background, not like yours exactly, but somewhat similar, and carrying on a parallel life, a very successful, psychiatrist with a medical executive background, and that it is extremely unlikely that someone with your background would suddenly develop this experience and want to share these things with the world. And it's the same sort of thing that attracted me to your story initially, and to be able to tell other scientists, that, take a look, because this is very unlikely to be somebody seeking attention or fabricating some kind of fantasy world on an extensive basis, because this is not who you were, and is unlikely to be false information.
Yeah, thank you, Bill. But you would have to tell them, contact them personally, because and tell them, and just have to organize something, or tell them that they have to do something, act upon that.
No, I'm very happy to be part of a network. Unfortunately, I don't have contacts with the world of science that is going to be most benefited by some of the information you have. So as part of a network of people that can deal with these contexts, though, is where I hope to be helpful to you.
Thank you for whatever. I'm very happy to have you to talk to you. And then I still hope that someone gets a bright idea being included to whom exactly we can proceed the data further.
Eva, I have to leave this conversation now, but what I'll do is I'll keep recording until you guys have finished. Okay?
Yeah, I thank you, but I think that we are basically, and Malcolm is also, I think, saying, I think I think that today's discussion is almost over, and then we can try next time.
Okay.
If you have questions that keep coming on your mind.
Excuse me, it was a good opener, wasn't it? I said it was a good opener.
Yeah, it was really lovely to see you all and hear you all, and I would love to see you more times. Right?
Okay. Well, nice to see you guys. I've got to say cheerio for now. Perhaps we can talk another day.
Yep, thanks a lot. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Jim.
Thanks, Eva.
Okay, cheerio, guys. I'll leave you on so that